310 November 16th, I believe, or UFC 309 November 16th. Talked to him before. Great guy. That's the one and only Bo Nickal to the show.
What's up, everybody? Appreciate that intro. How you guys doing?
Brother. How are you, Bo?
Oh,
wow. Doing well. Just, like you mentioned, got big fight coming up. So been training hard, getting after it. And I'm excited to go out there and perform. Awesome opportunity for me being one of the biggest cards of the year. And looking to go out there and do my thing and keep getting better.
I got to ask.
We probably have a ton of stuff for you. The first thing I want to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
But when is it time? Is it a certain time or is it a certainly planned thing that you coming down to Coconut Creek? It's like, okay, I got to be here for this, or is it mainly just a fight camp, or do you know, because you looks like it's like 2 fights a year. It's kind of been a thing for the last 2 years for you. Is it a certain time or is it mainly for a fight camp?
It's kind of adjusted and I'm still figuring it out. So nothing's really like set in stone as far as how I systemize my training. For this fight in particular, I'm spending quite a bit more time down here. I think that, I love my training scenario up in Pennsylvania, and I've got a lot of good coaches and partners and people I can work with. But the reality is I'm the most experienced guy up there, and I'm not that experienced. I only have 6 pro fights. So, being down here in Coconut Creek at American Top Team, what I believe is the best gym in the world. I have the best training partners and best coaches, and I get to, roll and work out with so many guys that have just tons of experience. And I think that's really what I need right now in my career. But, it's always adjusting. I'm always trying to figure out what works and what makes sense. And so, for this one, I'm doing a little bit more time down here, and we'll kind of see how that goes and, adjust accordingly. If it works out well, I could see myself spending more time down here, but we'll see.
Speaking of adjustments, you guys might obviously wouldn't know this, but Mike Brown has been, he's been gone, I think all but one day the whole last month, because he's cornering guys all over the world. What has it been like making that adjustment to not having him there with you during this camp?
Yeah, of course. I think one of the best things about American Top Team is being able to work with Mike Brown and, love working with him, love learning from him. The only unfortunate part is a lot of other people do too. And he's cornering guys, he's cornering Grant, cornering Johnny, and he's cornering Kayla. So there's a lot of high level fighters that want to work with him. But I just try to make the most of my time, be as efficient as possible. We got a couple workouts in together in person, and then we're also communicating a bunch just through text or WhatsApp or whatever. And that's something that is big for me as far as like development outside of just training, doing film study and kind of getting reps over in my mind. I try to make up for lost time that way. I think a lot of people have 10, 12 years in this sport. I only have really just over 2 years as a professional. And so, I have to put extra time in doing little things like studying film and spending more time. So, yeah.
Just for you two, just like a little peek into Mike Brown's mind. So while we're in the hot tub cutting weight for Grant, Mike Brown is literally going through all of Bo's sparring footage and like cutting clips and making notes, like spends hours and hours doing this, like the biggest nerd in the game by far.
I was going to say, a look inside that dude's brain would probably be wild.
Like, how you have pictures of like your dogs and your husband on your phone. Like Mike Brown's just like fights. The whole moment.
Pictures of Bo Nickal.
He's like, where's the scale? Where's Bo's scale? I want to know his weight.
Bo, I love how you are just a man with a plan, right? Like you seem to be very into manifesting and just kind of mapping out your future. And it sounds like 3-fight plan before we're going to fight a ranked opponent. You don't really hear this from a lot of fighters. A lot of fighters are like, get me to the top, get me that belt, baby. Can you talk to us a little bit about that mindset and why it's so important for you to do it in this way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that coming into MMA, it's just so interesting because I spent over 20 years in wrestling. And, when you start out in a sport as a young kid, you just learn the basics, you learn fundamentals, you learn like how to get in a stance, how to do a penetration step, just very, very basic rudiments. And coming into MMA, you know, I think that maybe being a high level in another martial art, some people lose that mindset, that beginner's mindset of, hey, I want to learn the fundamentals and I want to continue to grow and improve as a fighter. And they maybe, you know, I've seen a lot of wrestlers like, you know, get a couple knockouts and feel like they got things figured out, or, you know, take guys down, submit them, feel like they know everything. But for me, you know, really the development and the fun part of the sport for me is the improvement, getting better. And I don't feel like I need to rush to the top. I know where I'm headed, and, you know, I've been a world champion in wrestling, and I've been, you know, the best in the world at a sport before. And so I know basically what I need to do to get to the top again. And so I'm not rushing. I'm not skipping steps. I'm making sure I'm focused on development. And really, more than anything, my mindset shifted. You know, my goals in wrestling were to be a 4-time undefeated national champion, to be an Olympic gold medalist. I didn't achieve those things, but I achieved a lot of cool things. And now my mindset has shifted in fighting from being so goal oriented, where the goal is this ultimate kind of pinnacle, to just more of a growth mindset of, hey, I just want to get better. I just want to improve, and every day take my game to new levels. And so with that, then I think just the mindset's like, I'm not in a rush. I'm just focused mainly on development. Of course, I still have goals. I still have things I want to accomplish, and I still have a plan, but the main priority is developing and improving every day.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I love that. I love that, Bo. That's so well said. Like, how many UFC middleweight champions have there been? Right. And there's still been a ton of successful people. And if you don't win the championship, and I know that's what you want, and that is a goal, right? Grant Dawson says that all the time. Like, I want to be world champion. I'm in here, be world champion. But you can still do so many great things, not even in life, but of course in the sport of mixed martial arts, if you don't become just the UFC middleweight championship. So I love that you said that. One thing I love that you also do as well is like the whole podcasting side and this side of it. You know, I was lucky enough, Island Fights, to literally call your first fight as a pro and all that stuff. To see you do everything on this side of it is awesome, because this is what I do on this side of it. How fun did you, at the beginning, you're like, oh, let me try it, or I think this one might be cool. Has it, you know, exceeded your expectations of what you were going to do on this side of it, being with better and everything of that nature?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, I think that it didn't really start out like with a crazy plan or any type of thing like, hey, I want to do this or that. It was really just, I want to have conversations with people that I enjoy, and mainly, you know, my co-hosts, Anthony and Ronan, who I'm best friends with. And so, you know, it just started off that way. Like, let's just have some conversations and talk about things that we want to talk about. And it's evolved into having guests on and different people coming from different backgrounds, different experiences and perspectives. And for me, I think that as much of an effort as I put into developing my skills in fighting and in other areas, I enjoy developing myself mentally and just hearing new perspectives, hearing things that have helped different people become successful and their stories. And really the idea for me now with the podcast is just to kind of hopefully share some insight into people's lives and what's helped them, what's hurt them, what's made them successful, what's, you know, maybe caused them to fail at certain things, and give that and package that and give that to an audience. So for me, I think it starts with just like things I want to learn about. And then from there, you know, hopefully that resonates with all the listeners. But yeah, mainly I just want to keep it fun, keep it, you know, entertaining and really positive. So that's like my main kind of focus with the podcasting and stuff.
It's awesome. What was your main takeaway from your chat with Jorge Masvidal?
Yeah,
did you learn anything about him?
Masvidal is interesting because he's actually the guy that the first person I was really introduced to in MMA was Jorge, because I came in while I was still wrestling and I helped him a little bit with some of his training camps when he was getting ready for Kamaru Usman. So, you know, I've known him for a while, probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years at least at this point. And so, you know, it was cool just to, I guess, take a deeper dive into, what's got him where he's at, and just kind of seeing his mindset. Of course, on the daily, I've been able to see him and see how he trains and, the way he kind of thinks about fighting and stuff. But I think that it was cool to just have a little bit of a deeper conversation with him. And the coolest part is just knowing that he wants to get back in there, and he still has that fire and that drive, and he's motivated to fight again. And to be honest, the training sessions that I think this last couple of years of time off have been really good for him, because he's had a lot of energy, and he's been training hard, and he feels really fresh when I've been able to go with him. So I'm excited to see him get back in there and hopefully get a couple more wins under his belt.
What's a matchup you think that would get him excited to come back to the UFC?
It was funny. I asked him, I was like, yo, like, who are you thinking about fighting? And he was like, honestly, man, I don't really have a plan right now. He wants to train for a little longer time and get a fight early next year. And I was like, bro, you need to get Nick Diaz, man. That would be a sick fight. Of course, he's fought his brother a couple times. And so, there probably aren't too many people that have fought both of them. And he would have a chance to have wins over both of them, which would be huge. And I think that would just be a massive fight. So I know Nick is fighting Vicente Luque.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that fight goes. But I think to have Jorge fight Diaz, the both brothers, would be insane.
I love that.
That would be a great matchup.
One thing that we've talked about, especially Elle and myself, for years on this show of Fight Bananas, Bo, and it's going to go directly into you. I'm a huge fan of specialists, right? I know everyone wants to be, A+ or A- at so many different things, but we just saw Grant last weekend. If you can't stop that takedown, and he is so dominant when he's on top of you, I hear middleweights, light heavyweights say, when Grant gets on you, it's over. That's it. The round is over. I'm a huge fan of, if it's a submission specialist, you see Poatan is a kickboxing specialist. Like, whatever you do it at A+ level and do the best of it. No one can stop you. Kayla Harrison's another example, and I hope this doesn't, I don't want to mean this in the wrong way. I see you as a top tier specialist. What you do in the world, Bo, no one in this planet can stop you. Like, you're just the best at what you do in that. Are you the same way as me? Do you love that specialist aspect? Or do you think you do need to be in 2025 a well-rounded mixed martial artist?
I think that what a lot of people do, I think that MMA is always changing and evolving. Obviously initially when MMA first started as a sport, it was literally the jiu-jitsu guy versus the boxer, the wrestler versus the karate guy. So that's the way it started. I think then we saw, how effective jiu-jitsu was. And then, the sport started evolving into its own thing. And so you saw guys that were kind of more well-rounded start to do better. And now I think you do see a trend of the elite specialists having the most success in the sports. You have guys like Khabib, you have guys like Poatan, you have guys like Adesanya, these guys that are extremely, extremely good in one area that can kind of just like control the fight and make people fight their style, that are having a ton of success. And so for me, when I look at my style and what I want to do, it's don't forget your wrestling, right? Like that's something that I did for 20 plus years. And I, don't really feel like there's another competitor out there that can match me in that. And so, of course, I'm developing striking, I'm developing jiu-jitsu, but, I want to continue to really emphasize my wrestling. And that's another reason that I enjoy training in State College. It's, I'm training wrestling with Penn State 3-4 days a week. And so I'm able to wrestle the best guys in the world and keep that sharp. And I feel like that's a mistake that I see a lot of wrestlers make, is they forget about their wrestling. They lose it. They become a striker, or they, lose that focus. And so for me, it's continue to emphasize what I'm good at while simultaneously developing those other skills. And I think I'm right now, obviously I have world-class wrestling. I think my jiu-jitsu's getting very good very quickly. I think I'll have world-class jiu-jitsu very shortly. And the striking, maybe will take a little bit more time, but the goal for me is to eventually, be world-class at everything I do. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to, forget about those 20 plus years and all the competition experience that I had in wrestling.
Obviously, you're fighting another specialist in Paul Craig, but a name that's come up quite a few times for you has been Rodolfo Vieira as well, which is a fight I would love to see. Another incredible specialist, amazing grappler. Is that a name that's still kind of on your list at this point?
Yeah, that was a fight I was looking forward to prior to this matchup, and it was talked about some, and it's a fight I would love to have. I think that right now I'm 100% focused on Paul Craig. I think that Rodolfo they have obviously similar styles with jiu-jitsu background and stuff. So it's definitely a potential fight in the future. But right now I'm 100% focused on the task at hand. But there's a lot of names that interest me. I think the main thing is just continue to get better, improve, develop, and whoever the UFC matches me up with, I'm good to go. I'll be able to take care of business.
You weren't over the moon, obviously, about the Cody Brundage performance. We've heard you speak on that already. How important is it for you to finish Paul Craig, in your opinion?
I think that to say it's not important wouldn't be true, because I'm 6-0 with 6 finishes. I only had one guy get past the first round of me, and so there's an expectation. I'm probably going to be a massive favorite going into this fight, which is crazy considering Paul Craig's resume, and I'll be minus 2,000 or something like that. But of course, everybody's going to expect me to get the finish, and if I don't, they'll probably say I suck or something like that. But which is I don't think, yeah, which I don't think is true. But for me,
we
again,
don't either.
Thank you, I appreciate that. But for me, the main priority is development. The main priority is improvement. I don't mean to sound like I'm beating a dead horse or sound boring, but it's just getting better at fighting. That's all I care about. And so if I go out there and I submit him or knock him out in the first round, great. If I go out there and get 15 minutes and I can dominate the position, dominate every second of the fight for 15 minutes, then, I'll be happy with that, because I think there's different developments from each of those different possible wins. Of course, for personally, I'm a competitor and I want to go out there and put a show on. So, I'm always looking for the finish. But I think that at the same time, it's not a bad thing for me to get more time in the cage. I think I had probably 8 or 9 minutes in my last fight, and that probably tripled my fight time in total. So,
it's wild. That's wild.
For me, getting more time in the cage is definitely not a bad thing. And hopefully I can just use that to help kind of propel me in my career and just get more experience.
Well, with your rise in popularity, it also attracts haters. Have you seen the latest comments from Darren Till? I'm curious.
I haven't seen him. That's
okay.
Funny. What he said.
He decided to go off on Twitter for whatever reason. The Ginger Ninja. Now, please do not shoot the messenger. I do not agree with anything he's about to say, okay? The Ginger Ninja doesn't even fight. He talks more than me, and I talk a lot. His wrestling is good, but his striking is appalling. And then he also made fun of your cooking videos. So I would like to give you a chance.
Cooking videos are terrific.
Those are my favorite. It's just Bob holding a giant steak.
I would like to give you a chance to respond to Darren Till.
Honestly, man, the more I hear from Darren Till, the more I actually like him. I think that he's hilarious. He's I think that at one point Darren Till was a world-class fighter, and now he's doing great on social media. I hope he can get a boxing fight with somebody or something like that. I think he's trying to do the influencer boxing thing, but I mean, I don't think it's really, I think everybody knows at the end of the day what I would do to that guy. It would not be good for him. So it doesn't really matter, but I think he's hilarious. I think that if me and him were hanging out, we'd probably, be bros. He seems just like a bro, but he's got to get his attention. And yeah, it's all good though. I think he's probably actually like a nice guy. I can see that, behind the crazy talk, he does seem
behind
like
the keyboard.
I'll admit his Instagram, during COVID, was one of my favorite things to just watch unfold. It was
unreal.
great.
Yeah,
it was wild. The fans want the cooking show. They want the video collab with Bo and Volk.
I actually talked to him about it. what was it? UFC, I think maybe 285 or 290. I can't remember which one it was. He was main event against Yair. And I was like, bro, we got to collab, and we'll make it happen at some point. Obviously, a little tough him being in Australia, but we'll have to we'll throw down on the Barbie, get a little
awesome.
meat on the fire for sure at some point. So yeah, he's a cool dude though. Volk, he's the man.
He is the man. One last one for me, Bo, and then girl, if you have anything else, and dude, we can talk to you forever. We really appreciate you and your time, like always, Bo. I think it was a year ago, maybe 18 months ago. I want to know if you're on that same brain length of, I remember you saying that you and Chimaev, you think could sell out a football stadium. Maybe here, I thought it was in Las Vegas. I think it was that Raider Stadium. Do you still think in 2027, 2026, that's the matchup? That's the one that's going to get 70,000 people, maybe two undefeated monsters, middleweight division, championship on the line. Do you still think that is the fight?
100%. I think that the only thing that makes me nervous about it is, this matchup he's got with Whitaker. It's a tough matchup. I don't have a dog in the fight. The only thing that makes me want Chimaev to win is I would love for when we match up, both of us to be undefeated. I think that's, as you mentioned, a few years down the road. I need to get some more wins under my belt and some more experience, but I do believe that will be an absolutely insane fight. And there's no doubt in my mind that we could sell out 70,000 seats in Vegas in Raider Stadium. I've been selling out crowds and putting 20,000+ seats, fans in seats throughout my entire college career. Even when I was a kid, I would have wrestling matches at local tournament and I'd have hundreds of people crowding around my mat. And so for whatever reason, people have always kind of gravitated towards watching me and things like that. And I think that as I continue to build my reputation in MMA and put on amazing performances and start to, compete against the top guys, get finishes against the top guys, that, I'm going to keep building that following. And that'll be, in my mind, one of the most exciting fights possible, because not only do you have two elite competitors, but ideally, two undefeated guys who have a crazy style, and you have, this Russia versus America wrestling battle that would be, definitely easy to market. And I feel like that's something I'm thinking about almost every day in training. That's why I push myself as hard as I do. It's not because I want to win this next fight. It's because I'm training for my 5th, 6th, 7th title defense. That's what's on my mind. And it's not too far off at this point. I have to win a couple more fights and we'll get there, I think, fairly shortly.
Love it. I love it. Hey, my son, my 6-year-old son, 7-year-old son, soccer, he's the ginger as well. So I appreciate you keep on pushing that ginger ninja momentum.
Make gingers cool. Make gingers cool.
Yeah,
ginger's cool.
Let's do it.
I love it. Well,
sure.
Guys, anything else for Bo? Absolute stud, absolute star. Everything with your podcasting career and wrestling career. I know everything that you touch turns to gold, Bo. So excited for you to keep on going, and a middleweight championship in your sights in the future.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you very much. So, it was awesome chatting.
Thanks for coming on, Bo.
The legend, Bo Nickal. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Big fight, UFC 309 coming up soon. Bo Nickal and Paul Craig.
That's going to be a good one.
Dude, he talks so well.
Yeah.
He's a good